What's up, everybody? Blake the Scholar Magic, I'm back. And today, I just wanted to let you guys know that we are fastly approaching 750 subs. And I want to give you some highlights for the Tycho deck we're giving away. This is like a Ninja Turtle themed deck. I actually have, Tycho is the Turtle Commander, a Ninja Turtle. And then we have a Turtle Warrior in the deck. It's like an Artifact Matters, like Equipment Ninja deck. You're going to get this sweet foil throwback Ethereum Sculptor, which is just absolutely gasoline, and a Buster Sword. So that's just some of the, cool parts about that deck. Go back a couple of videos. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment so you're eligible. We'll spin a wheel real soon, guys. Probably by the time September rolls around, or December, we'll probably have that 750. And we'll be spinning a sweet wheel and giving away another deck. You'll love to see it. And today I wanted to kind of just rein us back to Meria, Scholar of Antiquity. She is just a lovely commander, probably one of my favorite commanders of all time. I'll just keep revisiting this, keep retuning it, getting new cards in, getting new ideas along the way, kind of like figuring out what makes her tick. So what I would say is that overall, you definitely want to play an abundance of 0 and 1 drop artifacts specifically. Even in this deck, I will shy away from like 2 mana artifacts. Excuse me, 1 second. I will shy away from like 2 mana artifacts, such as like Swiftfoot Boots or even Lightning Greaves. Unless they have some sort of really strong utility or synergy with like kind of what we're doing. I would even value like Lava Spur Boots over like a Swiftfoot Boots. And I know that sounds kind of crazy in the long run. You'll just have sequences with Meria where you're ramping down, like turn 1 Bird, turn 2 Meria. You'll drop a 0 drop, and then you'll drop a 1 drop following that, and then you'll be really hot. You'll be like kind of off to the races. So that's kind of like the kind of sequencing you want to kind of like figure out. And I would say 0 and 1 drops are really exceptional for her. And we're just going to get right into it. This particular commander is a 3-cost commander in red and green colors, 3-cost total, legendary creature, elf, artificer. Tap an untapped non-token artifact you control, add green. Tap 2 untapped non-token artifacts you control. Exile the top card of your library you may play at this turn. What a lovely option to be able to tap some artifacts down and get some value off the top of our library. What a great commander. 3/3 stats. Lovely girl here, guys. All right. So my 0 drops that I kind of settled on, some of these are from Brawl. Some of them you just kind of have to kind of maybe research them a little bit. Like, for instance, the Urza's Bauble is like a Mishra's Bauble in that manner where you, if you sacrifice this, you will draw a card. In this manner, you also look at one of your opponent's cards at random from their hand rather than atop of someone's library. So that's very interesting in general. And overall, this is kind of a card you're just banking, right? It's just very easily castable from an impulse draw off of Meria. Like, if we do exile the top of a card of our library, we can simply just play this or cast it. In addition, you can just bank this on an earlier turn cycle, not crack it yet, just have it ready, and it's just ready for mana. And if you need to draw cards off of it, go ahead, do it later. So similarity in Mishra's Bauble is going to let you do that. Like I said, these just enable and open up a nice game plan. You don't have to go too crazy with these, but just having a nice ones that kind of can get you some value in other places, in other regards, are just always nice. So Mishra's Bauble similarly would have a similar effect. In addition, you have a card like Lotus Petal. This can just speed you up in that manner, in that earlier turn sequence. We can just play this as a 0 drop and utilize it for value with Meria. We don't even have to sacrifice it at that point. It's just like another interesting 0 drop to kind of keep in the forte. Here's a Mox Amber, another 0 drop. I like this because it will actually fix our colors and circumstances. where sometimes you'll only be able to tap for green mana with Meria. This will actually, with her on the battlefield, you can start tapping for red still. And that's actually comes to be very valuable because we can get pigeonholed, on red when we need it. And just the Mox Amber really helps that kind of fix us and get us there. Oh, Paradise Mantle. Fantastic. Can turn Meria into a mana rock, which is really interesting. Or one of our other creatures that's not an artifact. So overall, just a really cool card. Another really sweet 0-drop, very versatile for us. So I want to kind of get into the juice. Kind of get you excited about Meria in general. And she's going to do some lovely stuff for us. She's going to help us get into some really nasty things in general because she produces so much mana. You can imagine if your artifacts can start tapping for mana, you can kind of get to some higher costed things. And luckily enough for us in red, we also get access to a lot of artifact reanimator action as well. So simply putting cards like a Phyrexian Triniform into the graveyard and resurrecting it with for instance, a Goblin Welder, and simply exchanging like an aforementioned Paradise Mantle for that doesn't seem like a bad exchange, does it? So we can play these really cool bombs like a Phyrexian Triniform that actually get value from being sacrificed as well. So even when this dies, create 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature tokens. It has a really cool encore. And that'll be a theme of the deck, is kind of getting value from our graveyard in general. And for 12, you're going to have this thing like have a myriad type of effect. And it's going to be having 2 other copies attacking your other opponents along with this just being unearthed as well. And then you get to sacrifice these at the end of the combat and then make a bunch of 3/3s over again. So it's a really cool card overall. Triplicate Titan, another just massive 9/9, and this additionally just kind of loves to be a very effective, strong board presence. And if it dies, we get to create more bodies. So just a win-win for us in general. There's some combos we have in this deck with Sting and like Goblin Welder that you're just gonna love. It's just gonna be fun stuff in general. So these are just kind of the really big, heavy haymakers. Wormcoil Engine is just a classic. Just love to see it. Great in Brawl still. Can be pretty decent EDH, maybe less so. I mean, obviously, having a 9/9 over a 6/6 is a little better. This does offer Death Touch and Lifelink, which is cool. And a less of a cost. Here's the Great Henge. So one of my faves, this is kind of like the real juice, right? Where you can, on an early turn cycle, kind of have this in the graveyard, summon it up with like the aforementioned Trash for Treasure, Duretti, Scrap Savants, Goblin Welders of the world, have like a turn 2, turn 3 Great Henge, and now we're really operating on all cylinders, gaining value from our artifacts, getting to a lot of juice. And that's really the point of this deck. It is a very Greasefang-esque type of deck in the power level, meaning that you will have very explosive turns, and your opponents are going to be very scared. Oh, God. Portal to Phyrexia. Portal to Phyrexia. Yes, I'll talk like this because my voice is crazy. So when Portal to Phyrexia enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. This is a stupid card. Stupidly strong. It's like it has like a very inevitable thing to it. If you like Duretti, the Scrap Savant from Aether Drift as your commander, you're probably just in love with like gambling or reckless handling for this to get into your graveyard. Faithless Looting, and then simply getting a ton of value and just rocking your opponent's worlds. That's kind of like an avenue for that. We could be faster than like a Duretti. That's the kind of fun thing about Meria. So you're kind of like trading inevitability for fastness, for explosiveness. So it's fun. We still get to play the same cards. Cityscape Leveler, just a fantastic card that you can get into your graveyard. You're not sad about it being there. You can still get value from it. Overall, one of my favorite cards for the deck. Great card. So how are we going to get to these cards in a quicker and more efficient manner? Well, red offers a lot of these kind of exchange programs where you're simply going to exchange like a treasure or a blood token or a lesser costed artifact for one in your graveyard simply by having cards enter the battlefield. And that's what Duretti does. When it does that, when it enters, it does that exchange. You just have to meet that criteria of having those both at the same time, an artifact in your battlefield, an artifact in your graveyard. Additionally, when this attacks, it's going to have a similar function. And the aforementioned Sting, it so works here. It's so fun for this deck. I'm so excited for Sting. It actually turned out to be fantastic. Just with all the support you get with this archetype, Audacious Reshapers, Goblin Welder, Kuldotha, Forge Master, all these really cool cards that you can you can keep doing the exchange through your opponent's turns. So you get a lot of value. It's really fun. So simply equip this to one of our homies, such as a Goblin Welder, and we're going to be tapping it on our turn and exchanging artifacts. It's going to untap at each combat of our opponent's turns with Sting attached to it. We can simply do this over and over again and get some really crazy value and just kind of climb the staircase, as you will. So, yeah, very powerful stuff. Urza Saga card completely broken, massively broken. You won't see much like this around. It's just crazy shit. Goblin Welder, similarly, the power level is great here when you kind of give it the support like a Goblin Welder or, Trash for Treasure or the Duretti, where you just can entomb any artifact from your library into your graveyard. And then also still do the resurrection thing with artifacts with 3 cost or less with a little bit of a red cost and a tap. So overall, fantastic. Trash for Treasure. As an additional cost to play Trash for Treasure, sacrifice an artifact. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to play. Duretti, Scrap Savant. Similarly, will loot cards. And additionally, you can exchange artifacts with it. The -10 is whenever an artifact is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of your next end step. Pretty cool. A little more high cost for that one. Here's the Kuldotha Forge Master. Sacrifice 3 artifacts, search your library for an artifact card, and put it on the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. Yeah, you don't even need stuff in your graveyard. Just put it from your library onto the battlefield. That can include itself. Really weird card. Scrap Mastery, just wants to see us just put crap ton of things into our graveyard in general, like with Mesmeric Orb and stuff. And, sacrifice the ones we have on the battlefield. Everyone will sacrifice all their artifacts. We're attempting to get under or over our opponents in this manner where we'll have more artifacts in our graveyard than them and get more value from the card in general. Here's Audacious Reshapers. Just kind of another obnoxious card. Sacrifice an artifact, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an artifact card. Put that card on the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Audacious Reshapers deals damage to you equal to the number of cards revealed this way. Just wants us to see artifacts and hopefully not run into a bunch of lands and kill ourselves along the way, but still a fun little risk-reward card. Here's a Mesmeric Orb. Just a real cool card, obviously. And just going to act as a mana source for Meria. We can simply tap this for green mana, as so with Meria, which is great. And in that manner, it makes it so much better because we can simply tap our artifacts down to make the Mesmeric Orb that much more powerful. When this untaps, there'll be more untaps, and we'll get more cards into our graveyard. Bomi, you're going to see a lot of artifact creatures here that have utility. This gets a couple swings in on our earlier turns. Then we can sacrifice and get value, put more cards into our graveyard, draw more gas. Just a win-win for everybody. Can act as mana source too if we need it. Shriekhorn, just to put a decent amount of cards into our graveyard. Also act as a mana source on early turn cycle. The 1-drops are so good here. And they all act to build our graveyard and just kind of give us a better chance to have those really explosive starts with the Goblin Welder, I'd say, predominantly. Even the Trash for Treasure's got a call, saying that. Faithless Looting, just draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Fantastic. Mask of Memory. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw 2 cards. If you do, discard a card. Scrapwork Mutt. When Scrapper Mutt enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Fantastic. Look at these beautiful babies. Smuggler's Copter. Whenever Smuggler's Copter attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, draw a card. Fear of missing out. When fear of missing out enters, discard a card, then draw a card. FOMO is like the honorary artifact. Because we're going to get delirium because we're going to be putting so many things in our graveyard. And it's just going to give us an extra attack cycle, which is really nice for our creatures. It could definitely sway the game and give us a little more pressure. In T, gonna love to see us discard cards. Going to manually discard cards for us too, if we want, and we will. This is another one of those kind of ridiculous cards where it can just voluntarily choose a card in your hand, like a big bomb, like a Triniform or a Portal, and just really get us there. It feels really strong, guys. It feels really, really strong. It's there. This deck is definitely going to have maybe a few tweaks here and there, but overall, it's super there, guys. And I can't stress enough how important an Inti or an Avora, in tandem in these red graveyard matter decks, discard decks. They are top tier. They are S tier. Avora and Inti are S tier, discard matter cards. And especially Avora is the best card in our deck because she will produce fodder. She will produce those blood tokens too that we can freely sacrifice. They will also enable those looting potential as well. So she's just does that continuously as she continues to get in. She's just a menace. So, in that manner, she is amazing for us. Here's Brass's Tunnel Grinder. Also just going to really kind of turn up the heat. Going to help us selectively put cards and, put more cards into our graveyard. When we're really going hot, we're going to want to go hot. And really, really maximize putting as many things into our graveyard and, flipping this over and getting more value and just more and more, it's kind of like glass cannony in that manner, where you're just really, really, kind of racing your opponents in that manner. Here's Palantir. This will probably kill some opponents in most circumstances because they're just simply going to, make you, mill into your graveyard, and you're going to have some really strong cards with high mana value costs, and they're just in some turn cycles they're just going to kill your opponents. They're going to deal 9 to 15 damage on a mill cycle. So you're either going to get a card and be able to tap this for mana every turn, or you're going to be able to manipulate on that, even on that first scry. It's really valuable because you can kind of manipulate your library, have that second card on that initial surveil be really good so that, your opponents might not be afraid about milling that first card. And that actually might, benefit you too, because you might have a Goblin Welder and you might, surveil a Great Henge to the top. And your opponent will just simply let that Great Henge go into their, they're I don't care about one card. It's just a little life loss. But then a Great Henge goes in there, and now they have a big freaking problem because that Goblin Welder is going to be exchanging that artifact on your battlefield, like a little low-cost artifact for a Great Henge. And then you're going to be drawing into a decent card as well. So a really stupidly strong card overall for us. Just really great. Here's the Icetail Explorer, just probably one of the more busted cards that's come out recently, right, guys? I love watching Croakies because he's always just reiterating in standard, these cards are the bomb. He has 4 Icetail Explorers in his deck, and it's yeah, that makes sense. 4 Icetail Explorers does definitely make sense for a deck. And it's just so strong. It's going to build the graveyard. You'll play additional lands like an Oracle Moldiah. It's just, what a phenomenal card, an Icetail Explorer is. Valgate Recovery to get value from your graveyard. Howling Mine, just to demonstrate This card draw will be denied for your opponents with Meria, because she'll be able to tap this down before your turn is over, and it will simply untap during your turn cycle, and being untapped, you'll draw that additional card, and it's fantastic in the manner. So we just love Halloween Mine. Burgundy Goddess Storytelling for that beautiful mana production. We'll actually flip this one over because her artifact side is really good. So for that 5 mana, we'll simply play this artifact, and it fits our deck to just, freely discard stuff and exile 2 cards from the top of our library and get gas, And we can still tap this for mana. It doesn't say like tap and discard. You can just freely discard. So this can still be tapped for mana with Meria. It's amazing. Or just play her as what she is and just kind of storm off with Meria. Just get extra value. Have extra mana as you keep casting spells. Sword of Forge and Frontier. Definitely our toolboxy equipment will let us, get some extra value when we connect against like a red or a green opponent. Easy to equip and just easy to tap for mana. What a phenomenal card for us. Leyline Axe just like is a really cool, leyline ability where in our opening hand, this is just like a Urza's Bauble or a Mishra's Bauble. It's like our hidden 0 drop, or just cast it for 4 or reanimate it, whatever. And give one of your creatures 1/1 and double strike and trample. It's fantastic. Genji Glove. This is probably like the wild card of the group. I feel it will do big with our big bombs, outside of that, probably won't be the greatest, but it's one of those cards that I think we are sufficiently aggro where we can have more combat steps, more and more, like with a FOMO and with a Genji Glove. And we're just living our best life, really. And, just really having like a lot of pressure simply by having a really sweet double striking equipment that offers additional combat steps. Very cool. The One Ring for just like an amazing amount of gas, just fits our deck so well. This deck is kind of gross. Experimental Frenzy, I opt for this over like a Mystic Forge because Mystic Forge doesn't get everything. It's better for, I like it for like my predominantly like vehicle decks or like kind of storming off Meria decks. I'll definitely have a Mystic Forge. Like in my CEDH Meria, I will definitely have like a Mystic Forge. It's just another combo piece with Sensei's Divining Top. But it just doesn't fit this deck as good. It's fine, but maybe not as good. We have like a lot of non-artifact spells, a good balance. So Frenzy just lets us play cards off the top of our library, like a Bola Citadel. We have to pay mana, unlike Bola Citadel, but we still get access to the top of our library. We just can't play cards from our hand anymore. We could always blow this up with like our Haywire Might, or just by paying that mana as a failsafe, we can just always blow it up ourselves. Okay, here's Disciple of Fralis, and this is a sweet creature that will, sacrifice a creature, such as like a really sweet, big bomb artifact that we've mentioned already that gets value from that. Draw a bunch of cards. Just love to see it, guys. Or just be a land. And here's our protection suite. We have a Lava Spur Boots, as I mentioned, as a 1-drop, and the Commander's Plate as a 1-drop. Fantastic. Ragavan to get in there with make some treasures that are always good, and synergizes for our deck to sacrifice those treasures. Like, for instance, with a Goblin Welder. Fantastic. Or just accelerate us, get us to Meria faster. Halfling will do that as well. Bird of Paradise will do that. Lotus Cobra, the snake. Give us a little mana production. Love to see it. Soul Ring for some crazy mana production that is just so well with these generic mana costed artifacts. Price Statue. Oh my God, this card is just crazy. Really like, this is the card that seems really fun, like with like a Goblin Welder and like Sting, where like perhaps, turn 2, turn 3, you're going through your opponents and just like constantly reviving the prize statue and just getting so ahead on treasures. You might have like 8 treasures by the end of that turn cycle, which is really cool and fun. We deserve to have fun. We should have fun. Emerald Medallion. Your green spells cost 1 less to play. These are the OG ones. They're beautiful, huh? I love these because they just reduce Meria. They reduce our green and red spells. They're just so fun. They can be tapped for mana. I just love these cards. Okay, let's just finish this up, guys. Let's get into our removal suite and then kind of do a top-down look of the Meria deck. But we have our just removal suite: Boseiju, Shatterskull Smashing, Stump Stomp, Bridgewater's Battle, Haywire Might, Hope of Girapur, Lightning Axe. This will be very good to discard, freely discard, and hit those 5 toughness creatures, which is so hard for Gruul. Lightning Bolt, Vandal Blast, Blizzard Brawl. We are running Snow. Unholy Heat, Delayed Blast Fireball. If we get this in exile, it's just GG for our opponents because we're going to wipe the board and do so much damage to their faces. So really fantastic overall. Beast Within, just amazing. Just what an amazing removal spell. Same with Chaos Warp, just amazing. Just opens us up to like actually interact with our opponents, which is crazy for these colors. Because it's kind of unfair for us to get so much value and then have like good removal. It really doesn't make sense, but we kind of get out of the color pie when we do that. Blasphemous Act, just to just destroy everything if we need to. Urza's Saga has a nice tutor effect. Same with Gamble and Turn Timber Symbiosis. Just really cool cards for us in general. Faceless Haven for a creature or a snowland. Then we have these beautiful old snowlands. I am a couple away from having the full, deck, completion for these snowlands. So just need 3 more snowlands here, and then we'll have like the full variety here. Here's the snow-covered forest. It's beautiful. And yeah, I just happen to have them. So just almost, what would you say? When you have a full play set, almost a full deck set of snow-covered mountains from the Ice Age. So I just need 3 more and I'll be totally matching. And then we have our Rainbow Lands and our Duels. Aren't they beautiful, guys? This deck is totally done and ready to rock and roll. If you're curious, I do test my decks on Brawl. And then I kind of tune them up a little bit. Just kind of goldfish on Moxfield. Kind of look at what the deck might be looking for. What's it vibing with? And this looks very Greasefang-esque, very explosive. And this is Meria the Scholar of Antiquity. So take a look at it, guys. Very orientated to the 1 and 2 drop costs, especially with your artifacts. You really want to value those 0 and 1s. They're really gonna make you bring it home. Then you kind of have a toolbox for your 2 drops and your 3 drops, and they kind of just help you kind of fill in and synergize with what you're doing. But overall, this is probably one of my favorite decks to play. I will constantly revisit this. If you look at my channel, you will find lots of Meria. I kind of got burnt out on landfall stuff, but oddly enough, she's like a great, like a Sousa complement. If you want to kind of do Gruul things, Gruul landfall, Meria could be a good Gruul landfall type of commander. You get Crucible of World effects. Those are just very good. You can start tapping those for mana and deriving value from those generic artifacts like that, and it's just really fun. It's really fun just to kind of just get more impulse draw too, whereas Sousa might sometimes gas out. So red does offer a very unique graveyard element, which is very interesting. And I think you'll just love it, guys. So make sure you like and subscribe. Let us hit 1,000 by the end of the year, and I'll be giving you guys some more decks. Make sure you comment to be eligible. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.